Rob rambles on. What's going on, everybody? My name's Rob, and that's what I do. I ramble. But I get to the point, and I'll always give you something to think about, walk away with, and appreciate. And up on the ramble, the Ramones, and how they let me down after all these years. The Ramones are one of my favorite bands of all time, and they were like one of the first bands I started listening to on my own, that I kind of discovered on my own at 10 years old. I've been listening to these guys literally my entire life. And I'll never forget the very first time I heard them was in one of my favorite movies to date, National Lampoon's Vacation, the original, with Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo going to Wally World. And it's when they started singing corny songs in the car that Rusty and Audrey put on their headphones and you heard, "Hi, ho, let's go, following down a straight line, da-na." The very first time I heard that, I was like, oh my God, I need to figure out what this is. And back in those days in the 1990s as a kid, if you wanted to find out a song from a movie, you had to wait to the credits. And hopefully you had a VHS that you could pause at the very end. And at times you had to use a magnifying glass because the screen would jump or get really like blurry or snowy. But I'll never forget, I found out it was called the Ramones. I thought it was Ram Ones as a child. Ram Ones. My mom was like, oh, it's the Ramones. Oh, the Ramones. Figuring out the band name is the first problem. Now it's like, how do I get $10, $15? How do I get to the record store, which I know is like 3 miles away? You know, I live in like New Jersey. It might as well be California. You know, that's how far it is to a 10-year-old. And it's like, geez, a lot of obstacles to get music. Nowadays, kids would never like have the patience to do that. But luckily, I found the Ramones Mania cassette tape in my brother's pile of stuff he didn't listen to anymore because he was a Grateful Dead head. And thanks to that, I got super into the Ramones and really turned me into a punk rocker from day one. And shortly after, I got into the guitar and met up with the Ramones again because the second I could do a bar chord, I played Blitzkrieg Bop, and it gratified the hell out of me. It kept me playing guitar. It's like, you know, when you're about to quit, but then you can play a Ramones song, it's like, damn, let me keep going. This is fun. So Ramones were there, and you know what? I'll tell you, I even got to see the Ramones, and I think I'm one of a very few in my age group, 39 years old, that has seen the Ramones. I saw them at Lollapalooza in 1996 on Rambles Island in New York with my brother. I was like in 6th grade, maybe 7th grade. Like it was shortly after I heard them, and I had to hear Blitzkrieg Bop live. Blitzkrieg Bop is what I thought it was when I was young. Before I got a little education in me, had to hear it live. I mean, that's what got me into punk rock, and these guys are going to play live, and I can go see them? Hell yeah. And that was great Lollapalooza. It got me into other music, I'll tell you. Metallica, Soundgarden, Rancid, and the Ramones. I think it was like one of the last shows the Ramones played. But I got to see them live, and I'm super stoked about it. I didn't know every song. I maybe knew like 3. But at least I got to see the Ramones live. Pretty damn awesome. But you know what? This episode's about how the Ramones let me down. I mean, I can go on for days about how awesome these guys are. That's why the show is called Rob Rambles On, because here I go, rambling again. Rob Rambles On. Let me get back on track. Sometimes Rob will listen to a song and be like, oh, wow, I haven't heard the Ramones in a while. Then next thing you know, Rob's listening to them for a month. So that happened to me. I got caught up in the Ramones again because they're one of my favorite bands. I haven't heard them in a while. And you know what I said to myself? I want to make a video for like the 2021 teenager that's going to discover the Ramones for the first time. And I'm like, you know, that kid's got to exist out there. He's got to be tired of like the garbage that's being circulated nowadays. And he's got to hear the Ramones and be like, oh, what are these guys all about? So I decided to make like a starter pack video. Like, hey kid, check out these guys. These guys have been around for like 40 years. Listen to these 5 songs. If you like them, check out the Ramones and you're welcome. That's what I wanted to do. So I was putting this video together, and you know, through the research on some of the songs, I came to find that my number 2 song on the list was a cover song. And it shattered me because this has been one of my favorite Ramones songs for years. I love this song, and to find out that it was like a early 1960s band that did it first, I was like, damn. And this song is Needles and Pins. I love Needles and Pins. Off the Road to Ruin record. I always thought this was Joey Ramone's best vocal, and I thought it was like an awkward song about an awkward topic for an awkward singer. I just thought that this song really like kind of tied up Joey Ramone perfectly. And now finding out that it was by a band called The Searchers in the 1962, The Searchers. The song sounds very similar. The Ramones do it better. I like the harmonies better. And I like how it like accentuates the quirks of Joey Ramone's voice. Joey Ramone is one of the greatest singers in punk rock, and it's because he has an awkward voice. And like I say, it's an awkward voice for an awkward song, and it like totally fits. I absolutely love Joey Ramone's voice, and I always said that it sounds to me like as if Sylvester Stallone started a punk rock band. You know what I mean? Like, think about that. Sylvester Stallone's like, oh, let's go. It sounds pretty spot on. You know, I can make fun of that, but Joey Ramone wins in the end because Rob's not getting anywhere with his voice, and he did. I highly suggest listening to this song and the Road to Ruin record because they're better than you think. And Joey Ramone's voice is better than you think, too. Like, my father told me when I was a kid, like, everyone's got a singing voice. You just got to find your niche and run with it. And, you know, Joey Ramone, like, he knew what he had, and he knew how to work with what he had. And he was forced to sing in the band. He didn't even want to. He's a shy dude. But he had it, and the band knew it, and they knew it would be unique, and that's what really sold them. Like, really, like, Joey Ramone's voice is one of the most recognizable in all of rock and roll or punk rock. Like, you're not going to hear Joey Ramone sing and be like, oh, I think it's Bryan Adams. Like, that's not going to happen. If you don't know Joey Ramone's name or the band The Ramones, you know his voice in the band when you hear it. So that makes him one of the greatest singers in all of rock and roll because as awkward as his voice is, it's brilliant for the Ramones and it's that recognizable. It's a great song. I love it. And it was my number 2. And you know what? And the reason why I can't include it in my top 5 is because it's a cover. Like, I like to put only originals in my top 5. I don't know. That's just how I am, how I see things. But I made this video to really just say that Needles and Pins is a kick-ass song. Awesome intro on the toms, and I love how just like the offbeat intro kind of shows how awkward the situation is to kind of feel a certain way towards a female and have her feel the same way towards you, and you don't realize it and she don't realize it, and Needles and Pins, and it's like awkward moments in life, like with the opposite sex is really what the song's about. And you know what? Everybody can relate. And I think like Joey Ramone's voice, I'm sorry today, I'm sorry, like I just think it's like him mumbling and stuttering, and like even the galloping through the toms in the chorus really just kind of lends itself to the theme of the song too. Like, and I'm not sure if it's really a letdown, but I like to say it's kind of a letdown because I really wanted this to be a Joey Ramone original, a Ramones original, but it's not. And that's all right. It's by The Searchers. I keep wanting to say The Strangers, and I catch myself every single time. The Searchers. Terrible band name. But you know what? They wrote a great song, and obviously Joey was like, you know what? I could totally make that my own. And that's what they did. So, you know what? Check out the Ramones. Amazing bands. So, if you like what you heard and you want to see what's up on the Ramble with Rob, tune on in. Rob Rambles on. Like, subscribe, follow. Adios.